The Blast from Our Past Network.
Podcasting After Dark presents TV Obscura, a deep dive into underrated and unknown television shows from our youth. Cartoons, sitcoms, cop shows, and much more. Sit back and enjoy some nostalgic fun with TV Obscura.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to this month's episode of Podcasting After Dark presents TV Obscura. I am 1/3 of the TV Obscura team, Corey, aka Sleazy C. Joining me, as always, are my two brothers from other mothers, Zach the Total Snackett Schaefer and Diallo the Armageddon Jackson. And this month, we have a very special guest on a very special episode. It is our 50th episode of TV Obscura. This is a big milestone for us, and I've loved every episode of the show with you guys. But we have our pal Max from Ready to Retro coming on to talk about our TMNT comic book. What's up, Max?
Hey, I am so happy to be here. I feel like we've podcasted before. We've done panels together, but now it's being recorded. I'm here for the first time, but I'm not a stranger to the three of you.
Absolutely not.
I can't believe it's been the first time, but it will not be the last time in a short amount of time because Max will be on in early 2026.
Zach, are you out of time?
Yes.
And actually, Max, it's funny. It's not your first time. You were on a watch list, but that was like 7 years ago. That was like a million years ago. And it's okay because I forgot about an episode that I was on Talking Back, and Tim had to correct me. And I'm just like, what is going on with our brains? You know what? I blame quarantine and that whole chunk of time.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the one you're referring to, Corey, is we talked about our top 3 horror movies that had a Rotten Tomatoes score of 50 or below.
Yeah, I think
that the one?
Something like that. Yeah.
That sounds like a thing I would want to talk about.
But this is your first time on TV Obscura.
Yes.
And it's perfect because we are talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Saturday Morning Adventures by IDW. This came out in 2023, and this is our third Saturday Morning Adventures comic that we've discussed. We started with the G.I. Joe one. I think it was just called Real American Hero. And then we also did the Dungeons and Dragons comic book. And Diallo, correct me if I'm wrong. I think we really liked the G.I. Joe one. I don't think we quite loved the Dungeons and Dragons one.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that when I was reading Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I was like, yeah, we didn't really like the Dungeons and Dragons one. It was, yeah. Anyway, you can go back and listen to that episode. But yeah, the G.I. Joe one was like spot on.
Yeah, and I believe all 3 of them were written by Eric Burnham, but the artist has been different for all of them. This one is art by Tim
Lattie.
Lattie. Yeah. So I think he did a much better job than the Dungeons and Dragons guy did or gal did.
Yeah, Dungeons and Dragons one was a little too like modern or something.
Yeah. This one, it is kind of modern-y, but it still strives to be retro. But the G.I. Joe one,
yeah, it was spot on. It felt like I was watching an episode. It could have easily been an episode.
Yeah, exactly.
I give that D&D one a 6 or a 7.
Yeah. Before we get into this comic, though,
6, 7.
Oh, Zach, I didn't even get it at first. My God, you're really trying to push that, aren't you?
What, 6, 7?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the one that's pushing it. Right?
He's the only person left on Earth that's pushing it. So before we get into the comic book, though, I do want to set a little litmus test for everybody and let us know what your entry point is for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Because, I mean, my God, this is a franchise. It's like Star Wars. It's been around so long that there's different versions, different iterations of these characters that you can sort of, everyone has like a sort of a different entry point into the franchise. But at the same time, I think everybody loves the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in some way, shape, or form. So what was your entry point? What is your favorite version of the Turtles? And who is your favorite turtle? So, Zach, kick us off.
Whoa, Boy, oh, Shevitz. I had a my buddy Dean listens to our show all the time. He lives up in Seattle. Uh, we went to junior high and high school together. We went to the same comic book store in Cupertino. Dean, if you're listening, what was the name of that comic book store? Because I forget what it's called, but that's where I used to go. And that's where I've talked about it countless times with a lot of independent Malibu comics, stuff like that's where I was introduced to like Judge Dredd and Flaming Carrot and, all these great comics I've mentioned before. And they had the miniatures there. I had a miniature of Judge Dredd, like a lead miniature that you could use in role-playing games. And I had miniatures of the Eastman Laird TMNT characters back in the day. So I was like, I got into it, I think, when it first came out. Maybe a little bit into like by the issue 10 or 11, though, because I remember the first issues were worth a lot of money initially with TMNT and loved the comic and loved the tone and how intense it was and dark. At one point, were they making Shredder like kill himself or something like
Well,
that?
they killed Shredder in the first arc and everything, like straight up like killed him.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like
So
foot
I was
soldiers, they weren't robots back then. They were actually people, so they would get killed and everything. It was pretty wild.
It was, and I loved it. And I still love it. I love that version of it. And then the cartoon came out and was totally different. And I was still into it though, because I was still somewhat of a kid. And then the toys came out, and I was thoroughly disappointed because they looked nothing like the cartoon or the comic book. They were somewhere in the middle, and they were just like that didn't have the magic to them. And I wish the toys that they have now, because they totally capture the spirit of the cartoons in every single version. So that's where I come into it. I come into it in the very much in the beginning, and uh, love TMNT, like
And
the comic book, and then the early cartoon. Season one, I think the first season of TMNT was great. Then it starts to kind of like taper off a little bit.
okay, okay.
And then my favorite turtle. Oh God. I that's so tough. You make me go first. Y'all are gonna be like, okay, based on what Zach said.
It's like choosing your favorite Beatle.
I- yeah. They all have like benefits. They all have like
Is Mikey Ringo in that equation?
Probably.
yes. I'm just gonna I don't want to say Leonardo because I feel like it's cliche a little bit. I'm gonna go with what out of your butt. Which one was Corey Feldman the voice of in the movie?
Donatello.
He was. I was gonna go with Donatello. I'm going Donatello. Donatello. He's got the staff. It's multi-purpose. You can use it for a lot of different things. Donatello.
Nice, nice.
We got that out.
Yeah,
It's
that was-
passing a-
sorry, guys.
It's like giving
passing a
birth.
Here it comes. Here it comes.
Diallo, what's your entry point, and what is your favorite version, and who is your favorite turtle? And you know what? You can still pick the same one Zach picked. It doesn't. We don't have to all. But there are four of us, so it would be nice if we were all a different one, though.
You're
Yeah.
leaning into us picking different ones.
So yeah, I mean, I remember when Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came out in the comic, but I didn't really read it. It was something I knew it existed. I used to see it on the wall at the comic book store. By that time it had already like shot up in price. But when the cartoon came out, it just, that's when I really got into it. And I've watched pretty much I've at least seen one episode of every iteration of it since. I think, I don't know, because like I keep getting like this. I think more and more as I get older and older, I'm like, I can't decide about things because I kind of like a spectrum of things, and it's hard for me to like pinpoint one particular thing. It's even like maybe one or two or three. But if I were to like say my favorite version, like I really liked that first movie, that live action movie. I think it's that's a solid movie. I haven't seen it in forever, but then I actually liked the very last movie that came out. I thought
Yeah.
it was like, and I forgot, I totally forgot about
Oh,
it
yeah.
until today, and I was like, oh yeah, that might be the best interpretation of Ninja Turtles that I've seen, and
Yeah.
it's so different from everything that's ever been done before.
Yep.
Yeah. But I also like those. I know it's like I like those Michael Bay produced ones that everyone like hates. So I thought they were fine. I don't know. Anyway, um, yeah. And my favorite turtle, I don't. Again, I can tell you who my least favorite is.
Okay.
Yeah, go with that one. Go with that one.
Michelangelo is my least favorite.
I think
Wow,
so too. Me
that's
too.
a little hot take.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
He's
he's
my
just
least
like, I
favorite
don't
too,
know.
though, actually.
He's like so like in your face annoying, and it's like you're trying too hard, dude. Cowabunga.
Cowabunga, dude. Max, I'll let you go last. I kind of have similar experience as Zach. I started out with the comic books first, and so when I watched the cartoon, I was like, "Oh, why is this like so kiddie compared to the comic books, which are just super violent and trippy and out there and everything like that?" And I still have my those old trades. They're like oversized and big, but I don't have the original issues, but I have the trades that came out like in the early 90s, late 80s or something like that. So I do read them regularly. And then my favorite version, I mean, 1990s movie forever was my favorite version, but overall, I got to say the 2012 cartoon. It was like the last CGI cartoon before. I think they have like ones now a bit more hand drawn, but they do a good job of merging like all the different versions of the turtles and everything. They have this whole thing where they go into full ninja mode and their eyes go white, so they kind of take the action seriously, but then they also still maintain it's still for kids. It's on Nickelodeon. So I've watched that. I think the first few seasons a couple times, and like I've seen the whole thing all the way through. They even have a kind of a crossover where they bring back the cartoon versions. You saw that one, didn't you, Zach?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that's one of my favorite, like, and what do you call it, episodes or movies or whatever. That is my favorite, where like they bring the ones from the past, the comic
Yeah.
book in with the cartoon. It's really cool. Yeah, it's really cool.
It is. And my favorite always has been Raph. I'm a Raph guy. I've always liked his anger issues. So
Damn.
Max, damn.
Hey, real quick, where can you find that? Because I remember when I first met you, I remember you were really into that cartoon, and I actually started watching it, but I didn't have like cable or anything. That was back in my
They
piracy days.
yeah.
And so but I actually, now that you're talking about it, I actually want to go back and watch it. So where can I go find it?
I have the box set, the DVD
There you
box
go.
set. I don't think it was like super expensive on Amazon though, but since it exists out there, you can probably sail the high seas, and I'm sure somebody has ripped it. But yeah,
Yeah,
I have the whole
I'm
box set.
retired
It's
now.
freaking huge, man. So
I'm retired from that life, but I don't know the way things are going. I might,
we
might
have to
put that
dive
flag
back into
back
that
up.
life.
Yeah.
Max, we should also put it out there. You're a little bit younger than us. What was your
Yes.
catchphrase when you were on the 80s Kids Unite panels?
So what I say is, although I'm not an 80s kid, I was conceived in the 80s. So I was born in 1990, So I was looking at the release date. I was born April 12th, 1990. The movie was released March 30th, 1990. So the movie was in theaters as I was just being born. And what's funny is until she was still here, my mom would say, "You look like a Ninja Turtle out of the womb." Like my
Oh my
head was all
God.
just kind of compressed and stuff. And, it was like Turtle Mania was like huge. So, of course, my little head's coming out, the movie's doing bonkers in theaters and stuff. So yeah, I was a little Ninja Turtle from birth, but I think because I was born in 1990, I don't know life without Ninja Turtles. Just being, my age and stuff. So as I have gotten, as I was growing up, like being a toddler and stuff, yes, the cartoon was on. I had all three movies on VHSs. I had all the toys, the ones that Zach didn't think were cool. I freaking loved them.
I mean, I had him too. But I still was just like, come on.
Yeah. So I didn't have like the soft head ones, like series one. It's funny because like by the time I was like 4 or 5 years old, there were so many different series. So I had like a Raph that was from Ninja Turtles 3. I had a clown version of Mikey, like all these different series, but I had all four turtles. So, and also just being, growing up in the 90s, it was like Power Rangers and Ninja Turtles. So once Power Rangers came on, like Ninja Turtles was still cool, but it wasn't like, it was kind of like Woody and Buzz in Toy Story. It's still there, but it's not the big shiny toy anymore, you know?
Didn't they have a crossover?
Yes, they did. And
Yeah.
I'll get to that. So
Okay.
that was probably around 97, 98 is when they had New Mutation, and that's when they introduced a girl turtle, and
Oh,
it wasn't
yeah.
not cool because she was a girl turtle. It was just weird because they gave her female parts. As a kid, you're like, what? It was also live action, so it's so funny. Like about a month ago, I just threw it on because I saw it was on Tubi, and my wife goes, "What is that? That's not the Ninja Turtles." And I'm like, "That is the Ninja Turtles." She goes, "What is that?" And I was like, "That's a girl Ninja Turtle." And I was like, "This is when I
What
came
year
up.
was that? Did you say
97, 98.
Okay. So I've seen images of what Venus de Milo or whatever.
Yes,
I've seen
Venus.
images of this show online, but I graduated high school in 96, so I was not
No.
like watching this show. It wasn't even on my radar. I didn't
Yeah.
even know it existed. So I've seen them. I've seen it now. It looks like a nightmare come to life.
It's bad. It's bad because the animatronics
I mean,
are
I'd still do her
horrible.
though.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. I'm going to interject really quick.
Zach, it's not as
Two.
bad as meat curtains, okay?
Is it though? I'm not sure. Fans, you let us know. Listeners, I was going to say really quickly that Playmate line of TMNT figures that came out back in the day, there were some deep cuts in those figures. They released the Usagi Yojimbo figure, which was so cool. Not a Bucky O'Hare. No, that was separate. Bucky O'Hare had his own toy line. But like the duck, well, he's in the comic, right?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yes, I know. I don't know his
The
name, but I
duck
know
with the hat.
Yeah, the hat,
You know, he's
yeah.
like
And the
like
bomber
tough
jacket.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like those deep cuts, and of course Casey Jones look so good. Those figures look great.
Yeah.
The Turtles.
I had Casey Jones. I only had one turtle. I had Raph because I love the comic books and they all had the red bandanas on them. He could double as every single turtle when I played with them.
That's a nice way to say your parents
We're cheap.
couldn't afford to buy you more turtles.
Zach, you were talking about Ace Duck.
Ace, thank you. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, but Yosagi Jimbo, like you had the
Yeah.
guy. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Anyways, sorry. Back to your love story, Corey, about your turtle.
No, Max. What's your favorite version, and who's your favorite turtle?
Favorite version's got to be 1990 TMNT. I think that was probably my introduction. It also, I will die on this hill. I think it's top 3 greatest comic book adaptation movies out there. I think it still holds.
It does.
I went to the 35th anniversary a couple months ago on the big screen, and it still holds up. Like that movie it's still really good. I know I'm super biased. I'm nostalgic about it, but I think it still holds up.
There's no need to die on that hill. Like you don't need to die.
right,
I don't
all
think
right.
that's even controversial.
Yeah,
actually.
All right.
And if
it's
it is,
really
I'll-
popular.
If it is, I'll die right next to you because I watch it. My wife and I watch it fairly regularly, probably at least once a year. I'm very familiar with that movie, and it is still awesome. It's got the perfect amount of like adultness to it, you know. And
Yeah.
I did see somebody did a meme where the best double feature you can do online is you watch the movie and then as soon as Raph goes in to watch Critters 2, you pause it, you watch all of Critters 2, and then you start the movie back up when he comes out of the theater.
Where do they
That's
come up with this
hilarious.
stuff, man?
Yeah.
So the cartoon was running at the same time as the movie because the
Yeah.
cartoon came out what 89 or something like that.
Yeah,
87.
89.
Was it that
87?
87?
87.
Wow. Okay.
Mhm.
I mean, the cartoon is, I think, ultimately what I love the most. At least that's what I used to like draw back in the day. But yeah, that movie holds up, and the Arrow released a Blu-ray or 4K version of it or something
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
coming out. I think it's coming out in December. But yeah, you can pre-order it now. You can't
Oh,
get
yeah.
you can't get the first movie individually. You have to buy the 3-pack. I've only
So you
seen.
gotta watch Turtles in Time.
Yeah.
Dude, I actually remember watching that. I mean, I've only watched it like, I mean, I haven't seen it since like early 90s, but it used to come on like HBO all the time when I was like in college, and like we come back from class, you're just sitting there and it would come on all the time, and I was like, actually, I kind of thought this was okay.
Well,
But it
I
might
will
just be
say-
because I was like, it might be because I was like trying to get over the Ninja Turtles 2. That might have
Secret
been
of the
why.
Ooze or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
So,
pretty bad. Well,
yeah.
I will say behind the
Love all
scenes, like the people they had doing the stunts, doing the fight coordinating, all that stuff is commendable and like that great. The fact that they were doing all this in suits was impressive.
Well, shout
yeah.
out to Astoria. Not only, obviously is that the Goonies town, and they shot some
And
of
Kindergarten Cop.
Short and Kindergarten Cop, and they shot some of Short Circuit there. The Short Circuit house is there, but for some reason, I don't know why, TMNT 3 was shot up there as well.
Nice.
Which
There
I,
must
so I
have been
guess
like a
that'll
tax
double this
credit deal
Japan.
going on.
Yeah, probably.
Wow.
You know, the 1990s version actually, it's I don't know why. I've never really thought of it as a comic book movie until you just said it. It just was a movie. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, but I never, but yeah, and like saying that actually makes it even more impressive because that was during a time when they just could not get comic book movies right. And
Yeah.
so it was like the rare one to actually like nail it. And
Yeah,
so
like that and Batman are around the same time. But
yeah.
but
Well, it's like Batman, Superman, they always would like those were the only ones that they could like do, right? And then but it was like, yeah, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It was like that. And then the next like good one I think we got was Blade, and that was like a decade later.
And in between that, we would have like Dolph Lundgren's Punisher movie where they would refuse to put the skull
Yeah.
on his chest, and you're like,
Yeah.
you literally just need to put the skull on his chest, and this would be just
Yeah.
fine. But
Yeah.
because you refuse to, it sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put
Well,
it on the little knives or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I will say I think that movie, all of the Hulk TV movies, which putting Punisher or it's not Punisher, putting Daredevil, making him look so
Thor.
ridiculous, Thor, right? Trial of the Incredible Hulk, I think was the one or something
Yeah.
like that. Anyways, I'm like, I was very hesitant going into the 90s TMNT because I thought, oh, are they even going to go there?
Right.
They're just teenagers who look somewhat mutated. No, they went full on, which is great. And Shredder looked like Shredder. He didn't look like some just basic ninja. The Foot Clan looked like the Foot Clan. Like everybody looked legit.
Hey, it has
And
Sam
then-
Rockwell in it.
Sam Rockwell and then Eli Kotea,
Yeah,
whatever.
he was
Casey
great
Jones,
as
yeah.
Casey
Yeah.
Jones.
I mean,
he
he's
was
a
like, I think he
great actor.
he kind of gave the heart to it. I always remember that line. He's like, "Family? You call this family?" Like, I love that line. Oh, it's so good. But he says it so like there's so much heart in it,
Yeah.
And the mask looked
Yeah.
good too. The
Yeah.
Casey Jones mask.
Oh yeah. I love how this is becoming a 1990 TMNT review. This is great. The
Well,
one thing
this
I'll
is a-
just say, like
Yeah.
to kind of, put an end cap on this. There's a reason why at the time it was the largest grossing independent movie of all time. I mean, when it was released, it was bonkers. And it went all the way till Blair Witch Project. So 9 years, it was the
Wow.
king of independent film.
Wow.
And it's just, bunch of guys in suits, but those suits were made by Jim Henson, so like I said, the film still holds up. I love it. That's like top 5 movie for me for sure.
Max, have you ever seen the 2012 cartoon? It's like CGI
I
animated.
have.
Okay.
Yeah. I haven't finished it. I want to go back into it, but I have watched it. It's really good. They're in between that and the next mutation or new mutation, whatever.
Yeah.
There was a 20. I think it was like 2007,
Yeah,
2006.
5, something like
version.
somewhere around there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was okay, but I do think that the TMNT movie, there was an animated movie,
Yeah.
that's underrated. Not
That's
a lot of people talk about that one. I like it. A
With
lot of
the
people didn't
computer
like it.
animated one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm
But it was-
definitely a hater.
It was good. I liked it. I was like in high school. I just remember like this thing that my buddies and I would do during this time. We were like probably 16, but at the time, AMC or whatever, Regal, whatever it was, you would be able to get a new box of popcorn. But if you asked for a new one, they would give you a brand new one. So we would just go in the trash, take somebody's popcorn
Oh
bin,
my God.
bring it and be like, "Hey, can we get a new bin?" Yeah, no problem. It was free drinks and free popcorn. It was just like,
Wow.
And
Yeah.
free disease.
No, they were brand new, Diallo. They were brand new. So we washed our hands. It's all probably not. We were 16, but we got free popcorn and stuff. I just remember doing that, getting our free popcorn, getting our free drink, and going to TMNT. That's
Wow.
like
You
core
were like
memories
a
of high school.
real Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle in real life, living in the sewers.
Sewer.
Or
Max,
part of the Foot Clan.
Max, who's your favorite turtle?
Raphael.
Hey, buddy,
Yeah.
nice, awesome.
There was a fun story, Corey. A few months ago, we were at LA Comic Con and we were looking at this one artist. I have it
Yeah,
over to my
yeah.
left, but I wish I was prepared to give him a shout out. But we were looking at his art and he has like evolutions of characters. So there was one of Raphael and it started with the 87, the 90, it even had the Michael Bay, and there was just one more print of this one size. And I was looking at it and I was like, no, Corey, you get it. But then Corey, the nice guy that he is, he bought me the larger version. So
Aw.
thank you, Corey. So I can't
Aw.
wait to get that framed and put it in my brand new game room when that's ready to be built.
Yeah, our buddy Jeff sent me a picture online of like one of that guy's art. It was the Raph one, and I was like, "Funny story. I actually have a print from that actual artist, that I got. Yeah,
That's
that guy was
funny.
cool. I think his name is Jeff Victor. I believe this is him.
That
'Cause I
card
kept
is
you kept the
amazing.
cards. Yeah, it looks like him possibly. If not, I'm sorry. But anyway, shout out to Jeff Victor.
And
Uh,
Corey, I don't know if you mentioned this. I think you did, but if not, I'll mention it again. So at LA Comic Con in October of this year, 2025, we did an 80s Kids Unite cartoons meet comics panel. So we talked about our favorite cartoons and then the comic book crossover or continuation of, and it ranged from Mask to
Spiral Zone.
Spiral
maybe?
Zone. There's some deep cuts in there. Robotech, and but Max was like, "Can I do TMNT? And can I talk about the Saturday morning cartoon book in that panel?" And we're like, "Of course, yeah." Which obviously ties into this episode, which is why we're doing this episode because we didn't film that one or whatever. We didn't audio like this. We thought let's just get Max on to talk about it in depth and go a little deeper dive on TMNT.
Yeah, because
Let's
this
get
was
it on.
actually on our to-do list anyways. And then Max brings it up at the panel and it's like, oh great, this is perfect and a perfect opportunity to have Max on the show and everything. So Max, why don't you give everybody a quick summary of what this is, and just so everyone understands, this comic book is based on the 80s cartoon. But yeah, what's a summary of this Teenage Mutant? I think it's like the proper name for it. It's like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Saturday Morning Adventures, right? Volume 1.
Yeah.
We're covering Volume 1.
Yeah, definitely. So as you guys have established earlier, so I think it's Yeah, IDW has this Saturday morning adventures, and you guys talked about it earlier. So this is the TMNT version, and the writer is Eric Burnham, and the artist is Tim Laddie. So basically, and I love this concept. The cartoon, the 87 cartoon, went all the way through the end of 1996. So basically, this comic picks up right after the cartoon ends. They don't tie in together, but it would be as if the story's just continuing. So there's 4 little vignettes in it. So there's not an ongoing story, which I actually like. It's kind of like an anthology for Turtles. So you just can just jump right in. There's not really a lot of things you need to know prior. I mean, you're reading it.
Well, they're almost like
The
individual episodes of the show, you know?
Yeah, and that's the way that it was written and it's colored. And what I love about it, just right off the bat, is I felt like I was watching a cartoon from
Yeah.
the 80s or 90s. I think the
Agreed.
humor, the art, just even the way that they would break the fourth wall and look at the camera, like that was almost in every episode.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess that's like really the only setup. It was released in October 2022. So this is, I guess, the 3-year anniversary of Volume 1. So hooray, 3
Yeah.
years for that. So,
And this one's ongoing, right? There's actually more volumes of this because the
Yeah.
GI Joe didn't go forward, and I don't believe the Dungeons and Dragons one went forward, but this one did.
I
yeah, there's
saw
one
like a
that's
volume
dropping, I
6
think.
up or something.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, one's dropping this month, I think.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So real quick, Max, do you have the issue summaries? Because I have a little one sentence thing here for each issue.
Why don't you go for it?
Okay, all right. First one is called VR in Deep Trouble. The Turtles are trapped in a virtual training program facing digital versions of their enemies. Second one is For Those About to Rock, a mysterious device turns a stone soldier into a power ballad singing rock star. That's actually not correct, but that's okay. You get the idea. Super Casey. Casey Jones gains superpowers, but the Turtles must convince him to give them up when they learn there's a cost. And then finally, Zach, well, you probably like the name of this one, Big Trouble in Master Splinter. Donatello must shrink himself to save Splinter after he is injected with microscopic Mausers. So yeah, each issue is basically like an episode of the cartoon. Zach, you love the cartoon. I think you probably here love it the most. Kick us off, man. Like, what did you think of this comic, and how well do you think they represented the cartoon itself?
I love this animation. There were a couple moments, and I'll go back really quickly to what Diallo was saying about the D&D one. It it's not great. It was very much a disappointment to us, all three of us, I think, and we were just like, I hope the next one we do is going to be as good as the G.I. Joe one. And this one is. You know, I love the G.I. Joe one. It's my favorite property, 80s cartoon wise. So that'll always be top for me. But this is definitely a close second into first because it's so much, like you said, Max, captures the animation style. The animation style was so good when it first came out, you know, and it was so different. It didn't look like the other cartoons that had come out at that time. And like I agree with Diallo. The Mutant Mayhem that came out a couple of years ago was terrific. And I liked the variations on the villains in that. But I love how Baxter Stockman looks in this, going back to the roots of the cartoon. And it looks so good. I love the first one the most, the VR issue episode, because they're called lost episodes, right? And there's a nod to the video game, which, I mean, let's be honest, it's one of the best arcade games of its time when it came out. You know, you could play all four at once. That was kind of unheard of unless it was like Gauntlet or whatever. And they even like do the images from the video game in the comic book. It just looks so good. I'll keep mine short, but I just love like the side characters. What's his face? April's the cameraman guy. I'm blanking right now, but
yeah, the guy with like the suit, or like, yeah, I know who you're talking about. The other news guy or whatever. Yeah,
Vern.
yeah, like NECA actually released a figure of him not that long ago, and I was like, maybe I need to go out and get that because it was. I don't know, like I love these side characters that maybe don't mean a whole lot, but then they do. Like they get their own little episode, you know, in the cartoon or whatever. So because they were running out of ideas, but I love this overall. I thought all four lost episodes were great. Like you said, Max, the breaking the fourth wall is awesome. And yeah, like I would reread this again in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Diallo, what'd you think, buddy?
Well, Zach, if you're gonna keep yours short, I'm gonna keep mine long.
Keep going. Yeah, baby.
You know, I thought it was great. Like, there's again, you know, contrasting it with the D&D one. I think, you know, my take on the D&D one was it wasn't like it was the worst thing ever. It was that it didn't necessarily fit into the Saturday morning cartoon
right
vibe. If you're judging against that, it failed, and there's some other reasons. But
well, Diallo, you can't put that label on it and make it what you made it because it doesn't fit with the theme. Yeah,
it didn't fit with it at all. It felt more like if I was reading I was reading an ongoing D&D comic that was being revived in
right
in the 2000s, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, but it just didn't feel like it belonged there. So, but this one, like the G.I. Joe one, on point. This one is on point. It felt like they could have taken each of these episodes each of these comics or whatever, these chapters, and made a whole episode of them, which is the whole point. It read like it. It felt like it. The only thing is like the artwork styles were a little bit different, but
Yeah.
whatever. It kind of felt like it still had that cartoony look, which again, the D&D one, it was very like updated and just didn't have that cartoon look to it. But one thing I did really notice that I really appreciated was some of the language that they used was dated. So like they used there was one line about this is an e-ticket. And I just was like, nobody, like no kid today would even know what that means. But if 1989, like you would still kind of you'd have some like context to hearing that. There was another line I can't remember. So I appreciated that. And I think it was said in 1989, I think. I'm
I
not
think,
sure.
yeah, I don't know if, yeah, it does say at some point or mentions
Yeah, there was
something.
like a piece of paper or something in
Yeah.
the air.
Yeah, so I was gonna say
Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
89.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I thought it was cool. And it also felt a little bit like, if like a kid's comic book that I would have bought back then for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like, like not the official story, but it's like the kind you pick up at the airport or off the rack, just like, and it felt like that, and that in the best way. Not in I used to love getting Archie comics whenever I flew because those are just great to read on the airplane. So yeah, I thought it was great, and like I wouldn't mind reading more.
And Zach mentioned his favorite story. Diallo, do you have a favorite in there?
Um, I think I was most impressed with the idea of the shrinking
Yeah.
episode.
The
The big
Fantastic
trouble,
I wasn't,
Voyage
yeah,
version.
yeah,
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that, and I was just like, oh, that's so fantastic, fantastic voyage. So yeah, I appreciated that one the most. I didn't necessarily like it the most, but I appreciated it the most. You know
That's
what I mean?
I kind of felt it's not my favorite, but I was like, I'm glad that they went there with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's hard for me to pick. I don't know. They were all cool in their own way. Like, yeah, the video game one, the video game one to me, because you know me, like I like at first I was judging it a little bit because I was just like, oh, there's no stakes. And then, but I didn't real as I moved on, I realized, oh, this is like a standalone, and so then it was fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
it
so
was
were you
just,
expecting there to be yeah, we read comic books pretty regularly. A
yeah,
trade will collect usually
yes,
5 to 6 issues of
yeah.
a particular arc. Like, say if you pick up a trade of like X-Men or something, it'll be a particular arc that are all sort of connected. Were you expecting that going
Yeah.
into this?
Yeah, because that's what the other two were. Like the
Yeah.
G.I.
Yeah,
Joe
the
Yeah.
G.I.
one
Joe
was like,
one wasn't all like essentially it was like a 4 or 5 part miniseries,
yeah,
essentially.
Right.
yeah, and the same thing
Right.
with the D&D one. So that's
Yeah.
what I was expecting. And so I was like, oh, this is a weird way to kind of start your story off. It felt like a it felt like a whatever, I don't know. But then I got to the end and I realized that, oh, this is just like an episode, and it started over again. And then I was like, oh, this is perfectly fine. So
Yeah.
yeah, this is cool. I mean, I'm really glad these exist, actually. And it's like I want to see like more stuff. I
Yeah.
wish they could do episodes of like stuff that we cover on TV Obscura, like
Yeah.
some more
Right.
obscure,
Yeah, you're
obscure
hoping
ones.
that
That
they
would be
pick
really
up,
cool.
yeah, that they pick up another property, like do
Yeah.
Mask or whatever. I don't know
Spiral
what
Zone,
IDW
whatever.
has, but yeah, just
Yeah.
keep doing more.
And humanoids. Come on.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
yeah. Max, keep the conversation going. Overall thoughts, and like, do you have a favorite episode in this?
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be the first one just because it has most of the villains that were ever in
Right.
the cartoon in that one. And, when you have Dirtbag and Ground Chuck and you have like Wingnut and Screw Loose and even Toka and Razor,
Yeah.
which was in the second movie, Secret of the Ooze, but then they were like beloved so much that they actually brought him into the cartoon. So to see them in this comic as well, I just love the video game aspect of it. And it's totally a knockoff on Super Mario Brothers. And,
Right.
thinking about that time, Super Mario Brothers 3 was huge. I think of like the Wizard and things like that. So it's just kind of like it has all these layers of nostalgia to it, which is just, it's awesome. So
Well, I
would
sent you
be
guys even a picture that I picked up immediately on it, where one of the mini games they have to go into is that TMNT Tournament Fighters, that fighting game, that one-on-one fighting game. And I used to
Yeah.
love using Leonardo. Like he was my
Mhm.
main in that game. You can even there's on a collection now for like the PS4 and the PS5.
Yep.
I picked it up. That game's fucking hard as hell.
the shirt. I'm wearing that shirt right now.
Dude, hell yeah. But like the artist drew Leonardo to have the same pose as in the video game. And I sent you guys a picture. I was like, holy shit, like what an Easter egg. And then Zach mentioned it. There's like other Easter eggs to like the Turtles in Time video game, because you could see like in the background, the select screen or the indicator screen for each of the turtles was the same as their select image on the video game as well.
The
So like all
arcade,
that kind
yeah.
of stuff. Yeah.
I missed it. Did they have the NES one? That was
Oh,
like the hardest
the
game
hardest
they ever made.
fucking game ever to exist.
That game is still hard, by the way.
Yeah.
We
I mean,
played
there's
that
no-
recently,
yeah.
and it's
a nightmare.
hard.
It's
The
nightmare
water
inducing.
level. The water level.
Yeah, the water level.
Yes.
Yeah.
They had not figured out yet quite like what they were doing, I think, with the game when that,
No.
when that came out. There, it's like the cart before the horse. They're like, oh, pull it back, pull it back.
But I think with the Easter eggs, it shows that the people who were writing it and the artists, they love the IP, because there is a very subtle Easter egg, but it's in Super Casey. That's the one where Casey Jones gets all superpowers. Anyways, but there's this one panel of TCRI, and it's a callback again to Secret of the Ooze, where there's dandelions that are overgrown, and that's in one little scene in that movie. And if you're not paying attention, but you're like, whoa, even that small subtle Easter egg, that little nod to the movie, it's like, it's really cool. If you're immersed into the IP and you've been growing up with these movies and comics and stuff, you just kind of, I'm just sitting there reading it, just kind of being all giddy and giggling, and it really does take you back to childhood a little bit.
I
Yeah.
think what I love about this one and the G.I. Joe one, and again, I think it's not me dissing the D&D one. It's just the difference between the three is you got the cover and you go, oh, I'm going to jump into a whole bowl of nostalgia and I'm just going to eat it up. And then you do with the G.I. Joe one, you do not as much with G.I. Joe, but more with this one. Like all the deep cuts you mentioned, Max, like this one is the vomit of nostalgia in a good way. The Dungeons and Dragons one, like the minute you open up the book, you're like, oh, this is not what I was hoping it would be. Again,
I'm never going to read that.
No, I mean, it's
You
really
guys are
gonna-
making me not want to spend my money.
Honestly,
on
it's going to turn a lot of people off. Rightfully so, though. Just so you know, you just don't go into it expecting what you're going to get with the TMNT book. There's a real Ghostbuster version of this too, right, Corey?
No. So, okay. There's a connection though, Zach. And first off, I do want to call out that the G.I. Joe one and this one are written by Eric Burnham. The Dungeons and Dragon one was not written by Eric Burnham.
Yeah.
And Eric Burnham used to write the IDW Ghostbusters comics, which are absolutely fantastic. And his illustrator for the Ghostbusters comics was Dan Schoening all throughout the series. Now, at one point, like I mean, I have the 3 omnibuses that they put out. That series is amazing. And real quick, as far as Easter eggs go, I think it's all Eric Burnham, because that Ghostbuster series has so many Easter eggs in it. But Zach, what you're thinking, Dan Schoening, who drew the G.I. Joe one, he also drew when the Ghostbusters, because at some point they develop an interdimensional thing, they meet up with the real Ghostbusters version of themselves. And Dan Schoening does such a great job of emulating the cell shaded look. Like he was He was perfect for the G.I. Joe cartoon. And if you go look up, if you want to ever just read that one particular trade, it's IDW's Ghostbusters, and the trade is called Get Real, or Ghostbusters Gets Real, something like that. You can find it. And so Dan Schoening has he does a great job of emulating that look. What was his name? Tim Laddie. Yeah, Tim Laddie. He's not quite. It's like Dan Schoening could make it look like a freaking cell shaded animation in comic book form. Dan Laddie still has his particular style, but it does look like the versions of the Turtles from the cartoon series, which is what I appreciate. And again, back to shitting on the Dungeons and Dragons one, and I'm just leafing through it as you're talking about it. They don't even try. They don't even get an artist that tries to look like a cartoon. It looks like a comic book. It looks like a 2024 issue of a comic book that we would find on the rack. Like, what makes this TMNT special and that G.I. Joe special is because it literally looks like it jumps off of the TV screen, you know?
Yeah, and like Diallo said, and I agree, there's some moments in this where like some of the turtles' eyes look a little wonky, and you're like, whoa, that's I don't know, there's some crazy eye looks in the beginning of the VR comic. But there's only the three, right? There's the D&D, the GI Joe, and TMNT. There's nothing else under this umbrella, I don't think.
I don't think so, especially
which is really a shame.
Since clearly the TMNT one is the one that got so much admiration.
That caught fire.
Yeah, because it's, I mean, like, what did we say? It was on issues, or trade number 7 is coming out or something?
Right.
Number 6, yeah.
6, yeah. So yeah, I think we've now pretty much covered, I believe, all 3. But I could do a little bit more deep diving. But real quick, I do want to say my favorite episode issue was Those About to Rock, about that rock guy. I was surprised.
Yeah.
I
was surprised at how much I felt. Like,
Yeah.
He has this like, he's a bad guy. He's one of the, not rock lords. I wanted to say rock lords, but he's, from Krang's dimension. And he gets hit by this, like, basically like an empathy ray, and he like turns good, but it's only temporary. And he basically like falls in love with music, and he's like, this is amazing. And as it's wearing off, he's like, he fights off Shredder. He kind of saves the day, but he's like, he's aware that he's reverting back to his old ways. And he's like, I don't want to. And he chooses to go to another dimension that no one will ever find him in. And even when he's over there at that dimension, he looks down at his communicator, and he's like fully returned. And he's like, I could go back and like basically do my job and be a bad guy. And again, he's like, no. And he like remembers the power of music, and he breaks the communicator device. And I was like, I enjoyed all the stories. I enjoyed the VR one because you got to see all the characters. I enjoyed the inner space one because it was fantastic. The Casey Jones one was, it was okay. But I was shocked at how much I actually felt reading this one. And I was like, wow, that was actually pretty good.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I had a lot of heart. At the end, I was like kind of expecting him to turn bad again or something, but he didn't. And I was like,
he learned his lesson. The power of music.
The power of music. Like,
Yeah.
it's true story.
That's a curious thing. What makes one man weep makes another man sing.
Did Max, did you have any thoughts on that one, on that issue in particular?
Yeah, I just love having Krang in it, and the banter between Krang and Shredder. I mean, it's just straight from the TV, right?
Krang.
Yeah. And then, Krang is such a, like, everyone thinks of Shredder as like the big bad villain, but like Krang is like almost 1B. You know what I mean? Like, it took so long for him to finally be featured in a TMNT movie. It took all the way to the Michael Bay movies.
Yeah.
But his voice is just so iconic. Dimension X, that whole thing is just really bonkers and crazy. And it opens up, like, you go like season 5, 6, they really go to the space aspects in the cartoon, and like introduce dinosaur species and all this crazy stuff. And it's through, Dimension X and, the time travel and stuff.
It's funny, and I know Zach and Diallo can attest to this. In the Mirage comics, the original Eastman and Laird comics, after the first arc with Shredder, it gets pretty weird pretty quickly. Like, they start introducing Dimension X stuff pretty fast. And the Triceralords or Triceratons or whatever they're
Yeah.
called are in it. Like it's all happens like as a kid, I kind of forget that like all the weird stuff that I kind of didn't love in the cartoons as a kid was actually introduced in the Mirage comic books. Like Diallo, you know what I mean? Like you start thinking
Yeah,
about, you forget about that shit.
I was actually thinking about adjacent to what you're talking about when because I'm always fascinated by like whenever I think about Mad Max and then I think about Road Warrior, I'm like, what inspired him to like George Miller to like make that leap? Because like it didn't like it just I like what made you do that? Right.
Yeah. It's good. That's a
And
good
it was
connection.
inspired and it was great because it made it even more like more epic than it ever was. But like what made you do that, right? And so when I was thinking about that for this because I was like, well, like the cartoon was like such a departure from the comic book and it just was like what and I kind of was thinking about it a little bit. It's like a lot of it obviously was like, oh, we got to make this for kids. But it started making me think about the original comic book and what were they thinking when they even made it? You know, it's like, it's such a mismatch of like, I mean, it's Ninja Turtles. Like, that's ridiculous on its face, but they were all deadly. Like, why did you do that? But then it translates so well into the kiddie version and, but then, like one of the things I really like about the last movie was like it was just so different than any interpretation, but it still worked. And so there's something about the archetypes of it or something. I don't know what it is, but it
The
just
baseline is so flexible and there's so many different versions of it that like yeah they created something that was just so it's like malleable but you still
yeah.
keep everything correct. It's just what's your interpretation. I'm with you guys. Like I love that last animated film, what they Seth Rogen produced it or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Mutant
right.
Mayhem,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, Mutant Mayhem. Like, and then like they did something different with all the villains too. And if you watch all the different iterations, like Wingnut's in all of them, but he's different in all of them, and they do such a cool job of making things so different and yet so the same. And yeah, I'm with you. And Max, what do you have? Did you ever read those old Mirage comics? Did you ever go back and like check them out or anything?
Honestly, no, I haven't. I've always wanted to, but I haven't yet. I have like I bought some comic books. My childhood comic book store went out of business a few months ago, so I just grabbed 50% off stuff. So I have a stack of comics I still need to read, and some of there's like a collection. There's a few of those original
Okay.
image things in this one, so I'll do that. But no, I haven't. That's a blind spot. I've watched New Mutation, but I have not read the Mirage ones.
And I felt like what Diallo was saying about Mad Max to Road Warrior, the Mirage comics to the cartoon, there is a real similar parallel there because the comics were like black and white. They looked like they were drawn in pencil almost. It was almost like the storyboarding for this ultimate universe that it was going to become, in the same way that Mad Max was like the template, right? And then we can build upon this thing. And I remember it being so dramatically different when that cartoon came out and jarring initially, but then accepting it because the writing was good, it was funny, it was witty. Uh, the corny stuff was intentionally corny, and that's what made me like it more. But it just like they never really went back to that original, you know, teenager adult oriented comic. Let's be honest, most little kids aren't gonna it's not gonna appeal to them because it's not colorful and it's super violent. I mean, I loved it because I was like a teenager when I got it or whenever it came out. Anyways, I just echo what y'all are saying about that. And I just love that it's progressed into what it is now. And now we're going back to Saturday morning cartoons, which I thought TMNT, that was syndicated, so that was 5 days a week, right? It was
Mhm.
not just like G.I.
Yeah.
Joe. G.I. Joe was not a Saturday morning cartoon either,
Right.
which
Right.
is funny. The only one out of those three
Was
was Dungeons and Dragons,
the
which is
irony,
really funny. Of
The
all
irony.
those, come on, D&D.
Yeah.
And I love that cartoon so much.
So
And it
funny
wasn't
that
that great, but
when you
come on, like,
it's so funny you say that because every time I see like a video clips of like Saturday morning cartoons and or like a picture and they put stuff that came on weekdays and
Yeah.
after I get like, oh no, that wasn't Saturday morning. What are you doing? What's
I
there?
still do that. Bodie's got this really cool poster in his room it's called Saturday Morning Memories or something.
Yeah.
Most of those are syndicated during
I'm
the
like
week.
Jim and the holograms it was not Saturday morning.
No,
Oh, sorry.
technically Sunday.
Sunday, yeah. It was Sunday. Yeah.
Zach, I know you're a big Transformers guy, right?
Yeah.
Did you get the Transformer reference?
Oh yeah, but um tell everybody.
Perceptor
Yeah. Yeah,
with Perceptor. So Donnie's looking into a magnifying glass, and it is straight Perceptor from Transformers. Even that, like you could tell this guy, Eric Burnham, 80s
and that's
kid.
a deep
So,
cut, dude.
yeah.
Perceptor's a deep cut.
Yeah. Even before they had the real Ghostbusters come into the comics, that IDW comic, Ghostbusters, like they would throw in, like they would be busting the toy versions of Ghosts, like, and everything like that. So like he would always throw that kind of stuff in, and seeing it here but with a different artist tells me that like he's like Eric Burnham has to be putting notes into the script being like, you got to draw this this magnifying glass to look exactly like Perceptor, and you got to like do this and you got to do that. And I love that one joke where they're like, oh, what are the chances that a comic book from the 60s would inspire somebody? And they all looked at the screen, and it's just,
Yeah.
it was so
That's
perfect.
great.
Yeah, yeah. I'm with you guys. I'm with you guys on hating the Dungeons and Dragons one. I'm with you guys that this one is up there with the G.I. Joe one. I almost think this one might be even more readable, like repeat viewing, because it's all the standalone,
Yeah.
Yeah.
issues and everything. You can just kind of read it at your own pace, pick and choose which ones you want to read. So I would like to move forward with this, but yeah, I give this a thumbs up, and that's coming from somebody who, I will tell you, at the end of this day, the 80s cartoon is like my least favorite version of the Turtles, but I love this. And we've said it before, nostalgia is a hell of a drug. And I mean, Zach, a perfect example of that is, we've talked about it before, but I hated those 90s aliens toys, especially the Colonial Marines, because they don't look like Colonial Marines at all. But then when NECA put out an updated version of them, I saw the Apone one and I was like, oh, it looks just like the 90s, toys. So I'm like, wait a minute. The 90s toys that I fucking loathed, but now they're nostalgia because they're the 90s. And like that broke my brain, because I was like, why do I love this? If it was the actual toy, I would hate it. And this falls into that same category. I don't have any desire to go back and watch that cartoon. It's not one that I own. It's not one that I even watched all that much as a kid. I love this comic book, and I love that it exists. I think Diallo said that. I'm like, I'm happy that this exists, and I think it's freaking amazing in that regard. And it gives me nostalgic tingles without making me have to go back and rewatch the cartoon.
I think you'll be pleasantly. When's the last time you watched the cartoon?
Fucking 1989.
Corey, you're very like every time you bring up Ninja Turtles, you're very adamant about like they were killing in the first one, and you just like you reject the very idea of the cartoon. Like it can't, that's how I am with Tron. But so it's like any Tron sequel, but it's like it's a constant, but I get it because it's like you made a really strong connection with something, and it's just not, it doesn't hold up to that, so
No, it's a complete opposite. It's like a gut punch. So
Yeah, and I was literally reading the comic books before the cartoon came out, so I was like, okay, how is this possible? But Diallo, keep it going real quick. Final thoughts on the comic, and any Easter eggs or anything that you picked up on that we missed or anything.
Not really. The only like that, I mean, for me, it wasn't Easter eggs, but it was just like some of the references and language that they used that was dated, I thought to me was genius, because it was like, oh, it actually clued me in that this was actually an 80s, like it was like in the 80s and not like it wasn't like just a story today. So I thought
Mhm.
that was cool.
Well, how about the
Um,
outfits that they were wearing undercover at the concert? Those
Yeah.
outfits were
yeah.
so like early '90s looking. I think they even had like I think that's what even their outfits did look like in the cartoon whenever they would go sort of
Out into
undercover,
the
yeah, out into the real
yeah.
world.
April, yeah, I forgot April wore that little yellow jumpsuit too. That was kind of, whatever.
I sure didn't.
Um,
I remember that.
I remember the hentai.
Corey, it's funny when you were talking about like the nostalgia. I'm like that with some songs actually. It's like I hated a song in the 80s, but like I heard it later and I'm like, oh, this song's on.
You hear it in the
I'm
grocery
singing.
store and you're like,
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah. It's so funny. It's weird
That's
how
how I
that
was with
works.
Screedy Politi. I used to make fun of that song all the time. Perfect Way. And then I heard it, I'm like, goo 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 goo. Oh, so good. It is. It's a great song. I take everything back what I used to say about it.
Zach, any final thoughts on the comic or any other Easter eggs that we might have missed?
Yeah, Screedy Politi.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that Max brought up the Perceptor one. I was hoping for Master Blaster. That's my other favorite low key Transformer back in the day, and still is. Uh, yeah, like it's all the vibe and the feels that I love from this. I was not as into TMNT, the cartoon, as I am now, and it is because it's like getting bubblegum ice cream now as an adult. You're like, it's so bad. It's so silly, but there's something about it where you're like, I can totally eat this and I can eat the gum and I don't have my mom like scolding me to spit it out. Like it is that thing, that you're not supposed to like it, but you just do because you can. And I don't know. That's how I feel about that cartoon now. It's definitely grown in heartwarm feels for me. And this comic book totally is a perfect companion piece to that. And I agree. Like I think the Casey Jones one was the weakest one out of the three, but hey, they're one-offs and I'm glad it is four separate issues versus one continuous. That was maybe my only complaint about the GI Joe one. I would have liked to have seen four various stories. And I don't know why they didn't do that. I understand they did like GI Joe was classic for their miniseries, but they could have done so much more.
We could have gotten
with
some more
four.
variety out of if they did the GI Joe one like this.
Yeah, so fortunately we have some great Marvel comics to, deflect from that from the 80s and the early 90s, but in the new IDW, I think they did like an IDW one.
Yeah, I
Well,
think
anyways,
IDW has the Joe license now. Yeah.
overall, the Playmate turtle figure still stuck in my opinion back in the day. But the Casey Jones one was my favorite figure. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that.
Nice. Well, Max, take us home, buddy.
Yeah, first and foremost, thank you guys for allowing me to come on here and to talk Ninja Turtles. I love Ninja Turtles. I have a Ninja Turtle shirt on right now. So, like I said from the very beginning, I don't know what life is like without the Ninja Turtles, and I'm okay with that. So, yeah, definitely pick up Saturday Morning Adventures. I actually want to go into the whole series, especially since it's going right now. I think that's actually an advantage, and it's fun because sometimes, especially with this nostalgia stuff, it'll have such a short run and then that's it, but the fact that it has sustained 3 years now, thumbs up for me. And then the one thing I was going to mention is I think the biggest difference between, the Mirage stuff and what Eastman and Laird were doing to like the cartoon, it's because it was targeted towards me. They wanted me to buy toys, and I bought the toys. I bought the bed sheets, the lunch pails, all that stuff. I even had like an eraser. I remember 3 years old having a Ninja Turtle party at my preschool and stuff. So they looked at Corey, Zach, they forget you. I'm gonna go for the next generation, So just like anything, wrestling, whatever, they went PG and they got the next generation. And it's funny because I actually knew the guy. He was an intern at the time. He was the one that came up with the different color bandanas, and that was his idea. And I was like, well, what was the inspiration? He's just like, because kids were confused. We just had to give different colors. It's like
Yeah.
as simple as that. You know what I mean?
I get that. I totally get. And that's the thing. Like Diallo, I'm going to talk about the comic book, but like I saw the cartoon and like I was more offended by the lack of violence, but I was like, I get the bandanas. I totally understand why that's happening, but I still have such a nostalgic love for them. They all like literally all of them had red bandanas. It was so cool, and their eyes were always white. I thought that was freaking cool.
Weren't they technically black and bandanas because it was black and white?
No,
I mean the covers.
Yeah. The covers were definitely the covers were in color.
So,
Max, we're gonna have you back on the show because we are gonna be covering Tremors in January. So
Heck yeah.
you'll be on the regular Podcasting After Dark show. But let everybody know where they can find you and Ready to Retro out there.
You can visit us at readytoretro.com. I want to just give a little highlights on a few recent episodes because it features some of your favorite hosts right here. So back in September for Spooky September on Ready Retro, we had Corey and we talked Land of the Dead. It was the 20th anniversary of Romero's kind of forgotten Land of the Dead movie. So
I am so old.
Do you feel? I was gonna say, Diallo, do you feel old now?
Oh my god, that just came out like a couple years ago.
Yeah, I always feel like it was a couple. I always feel like Dawn of the Dead remake was a couple years ago. Nope.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my god. Yeah, that's 20 something.
Yep.
22 or something.
came out in
Oh my
2005. So we
gosh.
did
Oh
a
my
20th
God.
anniversary with Corey and our buddy Jesse. And then also a few weeks ago, we just released a Jaws episode with Zach and his son Bodie. And it was 5 different generations representing 50 years of Jaws. So it's like, you want to talk about Jaws, you want to celebrate Jaws. How do you do it in a different way? Well, we got 5 different generations to talk about it. And you know what? Every generation loves it.
Yeah.
And then in the future, after this Diallo, we're going to get off and we're going to get something on the calendar. Diallo is going to come on Ready Retro and we're going to talk about Waterworld because it is the 30th anniversary of Waterworld. So
there's nobody I would rather hear talk about Waterworld than Diallo.
I'm just going to turn off the mic and have Diallo read, and I'm going to love it.
Here's the scene. It's the planet Earth.
So wait, is next
melted.
Is 2026 is that next year's the 30th anniversary of it?
No, it's this year.
Oh, it's this year.
Yeah, it came out in 95.
95.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I saw it a few months ago and it was Felice theaters. It was first time I saw it on screen since then, and I was in a room with a bunch of people and I was like, this is the first time I've actually like seen it with people that like this movie.
That's awesome.
I've always watched it by myself for the last like 30 years. So
Yeah.
That's like
so
me
we're
with
gonna have
Jason
fun
X.
doing that. Yeah.
That's awesome. I love it. And then, of course, you can find Ready to Retro on all the major podcaster apps or wherever you want to call them, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all that good stuff. Max, thank you so much for being on the show to talk about this. We had so much fun at the panels, the 80s Kids Unite panels and everything.
And there's one more thing I have to just say. Because we are talking about Ninja Turtles. If you are a Ninja Turtle fan, go visit Ninja Turtles. That's my buddy Joey.
Oh, I love
he makes
him.
The greatest pins, Ninja Turtle pins, Ninja Turtle shirts that I'm wearing right now.
Oh,
so
yeah.
he is the big Ninja Turtle guy. If you love Ninja Turtles, I got to shout out my buddy Joey from Ninja Turtles. So go over there, ninjaturtles.com.
Oh, perfect. He's a good dude. I've been following him for years now on Instagram, and I always love his stuff. So thank you so much, Max, for coming on the show. This was fantastic. And of course, go check out $2 late fee. Of course, go check out Galactica Actually and all that good stuff. And we have a lot of stuff. Zach, we have a lot of stuff coming this month that's a lot of fun, and we have a lot of stuff coming in December that's a lot of fun too. So it's all good shit all around. But this was a blast, and hey, happy 50th episode for TV Obscura. Who would have thought we've been going this far?
50
Cowabunga!
years.
Woo, shell yeah, baby. And Max, give us catch you on the dark side. And as always,
Turtle power!
Cowabunga, dude.
shell yeah.
Or is like, you asshole.
You asshole.
Be sure to subscribe to Podcasting After Dark on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. You can support the show by joining our Patreon page, picking up a t-shirt from our merch store, or leaving us a 5-star review. Follow us on Instagram at Podcasting After Dark. All links can be found on our website at www.podcastingafterdark.com. And join us next time for another cult movie or TV show review with Corey Stevenson and Zach Schaefer.